Hello YouTubers, just trying to do a little video here on a Toyota Land Cruiser 2006 that I recently acquired. It's a nice truck, nice SUV, fully loaded, Toyota quality all around Land Cruiser. This one's a 100 series. 2006. The only thing is, well, yeah, I mean, the paint's good, the body's good, everything's good. It needs new tires. The engine runs really well. It's got low miles. But this vehicle came from the Rust Belt, kind of. Well, it wasn't so much really like too far north. It was just south of the what is considered the Rust Belt. Came out of Ohio, and yeah, I guess it's kind of centered in that part of the country. But anyways, with that said, there's some rust issues with this truck. Nothing major. It's all stuff that can be corrected and improved upon. Whoever owned this truck over there did some preventive measures which really helped it, but it needs to be done periodically, as frequent as possible, because of all the salt that they use up there in the roads and all that, and it snows and rains a lot. So this one has a treatment, but eventually I guess it wore out, or the moisture got to it. So there's some issues with that and I'm going to be working on it and doing short little videos. We'll try and see how many parts I can do it in, to show you guys some of the stuff that's doable. Here's my garage. I'm just here with home tools, a little bit of curiosity and knowledge and experience, but I'm not afraid to tackle this project. So we'll tear into it. I'm gonna be doing it in sections, being that I don't have a lift to lift up the whole vehicle. So I'll just lift up the front, remove the wheels, do one side, then do the other side, and then work my way back, do the middle area, undercarriage, check out all the U-joints, maybe do a oil change, and then recoat, remove all the rust that I can, put a prohibitor. Well, first I'm going to remove the salt, and then rinse it, and then put a prohibitor, and then put a coating on it to seal everything up and make it look nice and new again, or as close to new as I can. And then we'll just kind of work my way back, do this side, then do the other side. And then there is an issue here with the very rear cross member on the frame that goes across from one side to the other, kind of under and behind this door, this tailgate. The tailgate looks really good considering it's from that part of the country. There's no rust on the bottom or the middle, except for this cross member that's right there. So I'm gonna have to remove this plastic, this whole plastic bumper cover here. This whole thing's coming off, and then so I can get to those components of the chassis in there. And when it comes to this cross member, I might have to, and it's removable and replaceable, might have to just order it, remove this old one, and then put a new cross member here, which is kind of critical because that's really kind of what supports the whole chassis. It gives it rigidity, and then this tow bar is also attached to this part of the chassis here. So all that needs to be really secure so that if you tow anything, your whole rear end's not gonna fall off, you know? So there's some work involved, but I'm willing to tackle it and just do it little by little. I got time, I'm in no hurry, but I'm gonna save this Land Cruiser and let it be a keeper, because it's like nice. It's like nice. I got it for less than 10 G's, and and then got it shipped over here. Needs new tires. Even though the tread looks really good on them, they're almost new. but they're dry rotted. Where this truck sat somewhere in a garage or carport somewhere and wasn't driven much. So even though, like I said, it has rust issues, they're minimal compared to other vehicles from that part of the country. So I'm going to be addressing all that. The exhaust is good. Everything's good. Way under there. You know, a little scraping and pressure washing will take care of most of it. And the most critical area, like I said, is back here, right there behind this bumper thing, kind of underneath all this, and behind this hitch, like right in here somewhere, back in there. And I'd show you, but it's pretty dark. I need better lighting. So anyways, this is one video. Sorry I didn't show you much just yet as far as the work involved, but I'll be doing kind of like a little time lapse of sorts. See, this is just the hitch itself. And of course, this is all just paint. It's just flaking away the paint. But underneath is good steel. It needs to be cleaned and resealed. You recoat all this with new protectant. Get rid of all the loose stuff. And I don't know, I might actually even replace this whole hitch and just put a nice new hitch on it once I do all the other stuff. So yeah, I'll let you know as we go. And I'll tell you what, once I'm done with this baby, it's gonna be badass. All right, catch you guys later, YouTubers. Like I said, it'll be a series of videos. Should look for the next part, and then subscribe and just kind of follow me, man, and I'll show you the progress. All right, later. All right, YouTube. All right, this is a second video, I think, on my 06 Land Cruiser. I'm gonna be showing you what I'm working on now before I start tackling all the major rust issues that we talked about. I'm gonna have to repair and replace the power steering lines that come down from the pump, which are these two, this one and this one. And it's like an assembly, like a harness. These two lines are connected right here, keeps them spaced properly, and then they're pre-bent. They're anchored right there, and then they go all the way up to the pump, which is up there, and then they go across this way. A couple bends are rubber, parts of it are rubber, and then the other part are steel. There's little steel, and then rubber and steel and rubber and steel, but they make their way across, and then they connect to the rack and pinion component of the steering mechanism here. Everything else with the rack and pinion looks good, other than these bushings that are in here. There's one right here where this bolt is that holds the rack and pinion to this cross member, and then there's another big bolt right there that connects it from this end. And in this space right in here on both sides, there's a rubber bushing that's in there. I checked them both. They seem to be okay. However, because they're rubber, factory kind of rubber, and over the years they've gotten soft and marshmallowy, kind of mushy. So when you turn the steering, both bushings kind of, you know, they squish in there where they're not solid, rigid. So what I'm going to do is, oh, and then there's this leak right here on this line. I don't know if you can see that little droplet right there. So right here underneath the underside of this line, the rust actually perforated this steel part of this line. And it's just a small little needle-sized speck. I already checked it out, but it's enough to allow the oil to drip. And I think this is the return line. So it's not under pressure, but it's got all this all smothered with oil all over the place, which might be a good thing. It kind of helped protect some of the rust. But most of this rust, like I said, it's underneath the previous coating that was put on here. Somebody put some kind of a like rubberized coating, which I'm not a big fan of, because once moisture gets underneath the rubber, it'll start eating the metal underneath away. So all this needs to be scraped up. All that rubber stuff that's right there needs to be scraped. And then you get to the metal, and then you treat the metal with a new protectant. It's actually a converter where it converts the rust to iron phosphate instead of iron oxide. And it's a special coating. It's actually called phosphoric acid. And you coat all this with that phosphoric acid, and it'll turn iron oxide into iron phosphate, which will never rust. It's a black protecting layer on the steel that just won't let anything else penetrate it or rust it or corrode it. Keeps the oxygen out, and oxidation just won't happen. It's very similar to like an old iron skillet of sorts. So when you cook on it a lot, all that grease and everything coats that steel to the point where it's cured with like this protective layer. So anyways, that's what iron phosphate is. But anyway, so once I'm done with this thing, yeah, all this will be scraped up with a wire brush, some screwdrivers, some little picks and hammers, and whatever tools I have. I'll pick as much of it away and then treat it, coat it, remove the salt, and all that good stuff. But before I get into all that, I need to address this leak. And I'm just gonna remove both lines, both the return and the pressure line, and just all the way starting from the top, remove all the fasteners, everything, and then where it connects to the rack and pinion. So that whole assembly will be replaced. It's gonna be tedious, I'm sure. Some of the bolts might not want to cooperate, but I'm gonna tear into it, do it to it, replace the harness, and then let me show you on top. There's a couple other little things where this harness connects to the pump. Bear with me, I gotta get up. I'm an old man. So anyways, up here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's a line, that banjo bolt right there is where one of the lines, I think it's a pressure line, connects to the pump, which is right there. That's the pump mechanism. You can see the pulley, and that banjo bolt needs to come off, and then it's got like a T fitting right there. So off to the left there's this other little sensor. It's called an air mixture or air pressure sensor, I believe. And then those two little rubber hoses come up to the vacuum. I think it's like vacuum driven or something, like right in there somewhere. So I'm going to replace those two lines. That sensor, I already ordered it. I'm waiting for it to come in. Remove all that. Remove this banjo bolt. Disconnect that line. It's part of that harness. It goes down. And clean all this up. All this will be replaced. I just want to do it for peace of mind. I think this valve is good. Since I'm in there, I'm going to replace it anyways. Sometimes you have to do that, you know, even though it might not be giving you problems yet per se. Since you're working in this area, you might as well do it, even if it's you know, $50 or $100 for that valve. I think that's what I paid for it, like $80. But I think it's a critical component, and it's part of this whole assembly. And yeah, I like doing things right. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so next update will be me taking that off. So then back down to the rack and pinion underneath, those two bushings that I pointed out, even because they're kind of mushy when you turn the steering wheel, again, same thing. The ones that are to this bolt right here, and they're like right there underneath, sandwich between the rack and pinion and this cross member. So that bushing and the one on that side are kind of rubber, mushy, soft. I'm gonna undo the whole rack and pinion here and replace those bushings with urethane, which is that Energy, those red ones that Energy makes. They're hard urethane or polyurethane or whatever, and those are rigid plastic, hard rubber kind of bushings, and that'll help keep the whole steering assembly rigid. So there's no vibration, it's solid like Toyota likes it. And again, since I'm doing all this right here underneath, that's the time to do it, and I gotta do it. So I'll show you the next video will show you my progress. All right, talk to you later. Stay tuned.